So last time we left off, we were talking about what are the excuses? Why don't companies digitally transform? And it could be we're going to lose the human touch. We don't want to be too digitized. The reality is not everybody minds working with machines. And I used the bank example earlier. We've hit our limits. There's no more that we can do. AI, machine learning, there's always new algorithms coming out. We're going to become decentralized. Every part is going to have its own software, but the reality is you're actually more centralized, because what happens is one piece of software will end up touching another. It's going to connect to something else, and eventually everything connects to your financials. So your APIs could be a stack, all different for each division, but they're still going to land on the same platform. And what about my physical aspects? Oh, well, we shouldn't do this because we're all about printing presses or some other big iron type of thing. And as it turns out, Pays Jeunes, which was a French newspaper, realized our value is not printing presses. Our value is in our customers, in the people that we know. And so what happened is they transferred over from paper over to digital. And it's because they started selling ads. They knew how to sell ads. And that was their real strength. So the other aspect you're going to have to deal with are bad managers. These are the people who are supposed to be in charge, and yet you work with Dr. No, the person who doesn't know it, is I don't know, who doesn't understand it. Let's just wait and see what happens, and Mr. I don't care. And those are the people who tell you, oh yeah, that's really cool, that's really interesting. Well, are we going to do something or not? And that's what you have to deal with. So what about the CEOs, the people at top? Why don't they commit to it? And that's that they don't understand it. Maybe it's too far out of their reach in terms of programs. Digital is a long-term play, meaning if you're going to put in all that infrastructure and everything else, it's there to last. And so maybe for a CEO, I don't care. Hey, I'm gone in a year. Or it may not be my job. It may not be effective during my tenure. And so here's an example of different businesses who have resisted against digital when in fact they should be embracing it. For example, telemedicine. Doctors are thinking, oh no, software is going to take the place of me. All this IoT and everything else. The thing is, software is a tool. It doesn't take the place of the judgment of a physician. Also, these new algorithms and machine learning, those are designed primarily as a tool to help the doctor. You can use that as a decision software. For example, once Excel came out, it didn't mean it was going to replace you. It's a tool. What about driverless trucks? Oh my God, automation is going to replace drivers. But the reality is you still may not need companion riders. I mean, if you have a very expensive haul going on, don't you want somebody to stay with it, to watch it? And not only that, but somebody's going to have to support all these trucks. And so you transition into maintenance jobs. And what about pharma salesmen? What if we went to digital ordering? Well, they're going to say, oh, I'm going to lose a ton of commission out of that. However, now you have the opportunity to use digital marketing tools to actually touch more customers. You can actually get more sales. And so when we see the failure in digital, have we seen this before? Here we have. We saw it during the dot-com boom. And during the dot-com boom, a lot of companies just said, oh, it's just about the internet. And the companies have realized, okay, yeah, it is about the internet, but what does that mean? And so you have to look at the business model. And so this is where you get into lots of tactics that I talk about, such as zooming, understanding the nature of things, and connecting things together. We know what a business model is comprised of and what it requires. What creates value, how do we deliver value, and how do we capture that value. It's about understanding your business model and what does this really change in it. And so We also can look at it from the viewpoint of Maslow when you really start to look at the migration of technology. It starts out with the very basics and security, and then eventually we get to self-actualization, which is transformation, and that's what you want to do. So the next aspect is it's not about a strategy for digital, it's about digital strategy. And so it's about developing your vision, your mission, your goals, and objectives. The digital commandments are to remember technology is just a tool. You know your business. IT people don't. Knowledge matters. This is why in every digital endeavor, you need domain experts. You need your business people, you need the people like operations or the people who know how to make it work, and then you need your software and your digital people. It takes more than one. Strategy is about insight, execution. Details change, but you still have to go through the strategic process of understanding what all of this is and how is my business model going to evolve due to this. For example, e-commerce is not about the internet, but it is about marketing, channel management, and how this is going to impact sales. Analytics is more than about just AI in the cloud. Analytics is about diagnosing what it is you need to do. What process is this going to be integrated in, and how does it network towards others? And the Internet of Things isn't about RFID tags, just everything's now labeled or whatever. It's about synchronizing in your business model. How do those things come together? That's what the information is actually good for from IoT. So here's some examples of business model transformations. Asia Paints. They sell paint and they sell coatings to 13 regions of India. And what they did is they transformed. Now they're in 13 countries and they sell paint services, design, and home renovations. And the catalyst to this was enterprise software. Now they have call centers, mobile phones. They never understood that they always had unique colors and everything else, but they didn't know how to reach the customer. And through digital, they were able to figure it out. DBS is actually a bank in Singapore, and they transformed. Instead of just being in Singapore, now they're in India, and they do mobile banking. What did they do? Chatbots. And essentially, they thought, oh, it's going to cost too much money to open all these branches. Well, so much of banking today is digital. And so in terms of people's questions and things like that, 80% of the questions fall within like a 20% category. And so they made chatbots, and they made small accounts, and they became quite profitable. Newport News Shipbuilding. These are the guys who build like the big aircraft carriers, you know, big iron. The thing is, it's getting so complicated. So how do they decrease their costs in trying to build these monster systems? VR. And that's that there's so much good software out there right now. They simulated in VR. And so their workers came together and could see everything that was going to happen before they did it. Lower costs, knowing what pitfalls are going to hit, and also better performance. But it starts with your vision and mission. Who are you? And how is it going to transform and change with disruption? And so great companies are about brand. Brand tells your story. Brand is about the promise that you make to the customer. And so if we take BMW, is their business about cars? But the disruption that's coming is driverless technology. How does BMW deal with that? They're about your individual mobility. That is how they position themselves and think of themselves out of business. Now, it doesn't matter that driverless is coming. They can adapt to it. Kaiser Permanente. A friend of mine is actually, was an executive with Kaiser, and I said, Permanente, is that how long I stay sick? Fortunately, she had a sense of humor about it. Anyway, so they're like one of the biggest HMOs in the United States, if not the biggest. So they're a healthcare provider. But what about telemedicine? What is this going to do to these groups and hospitals? And what they're about is they're about patient-provider collaboration. That's the way they view themselves. It's not about me, doctor, and you're going to be my patient, and you're going to do what I tell you. They're a partnership now with you. So guess what? When new tools come out, how do I interpret this? What do I do? That's part of the partnership. And Philips Eindhoven, one of the all-time great electronics firms, been around for a very long time. And they've always been about providing different technologies. Now, of course, they're going up against all these other centralized companies. But there are too many fronts, too much technology. What should they do? And so they realize we improve life through healthcare. Philips actually started selling off all their divisions, including LED lights and companies like this, to focus solely on healthcare. They decided that's what we've always been about, making people's lives better. And so that's the way they're going to do it, through healthcare. And so, once again, zooming. Does our vision get bigger, or do we concentrate smaller? That's the key. What is the value of technology? This is Dr. Cho's big point. Zippo! Why? Because until you can make it a product or a service, all technology is a science project for nerds. This isn't about digital technology. This is about transformation. Now all of a sudden I have all this information. Now I can touch people like ever before. So now that I'm capable of doing that, it's like me asking you the superhero question. If you found out you could fly tomorrow, how would that change your life? If you found out you had the strength of Superman tomorrow, how is that going to change you? And that's what transformation is about. You're still fundamentally you, but now you can do more than you have ever done before. So I have to think about, do I need to pivot? Am I making a course correction change? It's not about the total change of my mission and strategy. Fundamentally, I'm still about what I'm is about, but it is about capitalizing on an opportunity of what you can do. But the business comes first, and how you interact and what you mean to the customer still applies. The rest are all just details. So the next point is, how do we know what we're doing? What kind of environment and capability do we have to set up? And so the components of this is, it's still about a strategy. What's my objective? What's my hypothesis? How do I show it? And how am I going to target and test it? So, do I need collaborators? What is it my company's about? Who's my competition? And what's my strategic landscape? How am I locked in or locked out? What are the things that I can attack and do right now? And so I need to figure out my business cases. And that's based on market intelligence. In terms of focus, my company is I'm creating internal value that could be passed along to the customer, or is it I'm trying to create direct value to my customer? Which one of those things am I actually focused on? So it's still all about the value proposition. In terms of opportunities, this is what's going on in different industries, and you could just read over this on your own. But the context of digital is that now I have reach. That means I can go global. In terms of culture and societal, how do I interface with that, and how is technology going to change in this? So the classic model of you as a leader is about developing goals and motivating people. However, when we look at digitization, the goals have to be more diffuse. The strategy also has to do with integrating into my culture. And people are more independent, need to be more independent in deciding how that digital is going to affect them. And ultimately, how am I going to deliver value to my stakeholders? It's not just about you dictating goals and then executing against it. You have to see, how does this diffuse and impact my organization? And so what it means is I need more knowledge-driven organizations. I need people who understand what's going on, and the decision-making needs to be more distributed. So we're going beyond standard product development. It goes beyond the domain of simple technology change. And so all these things of system integration software It's deep and it's wide within my organization. And so the next point is we don't need a strategy. We need a better strategy. How do we formulate that?